Abdominopelvic cavity, division of the anterior ventral cavity that houses the abdominal pelvic and pelvic viscera. Anabolism, assembly of more complex molecules from simpler molecules. Anatomical position, standard reference position used for describing locations and directions on the human body. Anatomy, science that studies the form and composition of the body's structures. Anterior, describes the front or direction toward the front of the body, also referred to as ventral. Anterior cavity, larger body cavity located anterior to the posterior dorsal cavity body. Includes the serous membrane, lined pleural cavities for the lungs, pericardial cavity for the heart, and peritoneal cavity for the abdominal and pelvic organs, also referred to as ventral cavity. Catabolism, breaking down of more complex molecules into simpler molecules. Caudal, describes a position below or lower than another part of the body's proper, near or toward the tail, also referred to as inferior. Cell, smallest independently functioning unit of all organisms. In animals, a cell contains cytoplasm composed of fluid and organelles. Computed tomography, CT, medical imaging technique in which a computer-enhanced cross-sectional X-ray image is obtained. Control center, compares values to their normal range. Deviations cause the activation of an effector. Cranial, describes a position above or higher than another part of the body proper, also referred to as superior. Cranial cavity, division of the posterior dorsal cavity that houses the brain. Deep, describes a position farther from the surface of the body. Development, changes an organism goes through during its life. Differentiation, process by which unspecialized cells become specialized in structure and function. Distal, describes a position farther from the point of attachment or the trunk of the body. Dorsal, describes the back or direction toward the back of the body, also referred to as posterior. Dorsal cavity, posterior body cavity that houses the brain and spinal cord, also referred to the posterior body cavity. Effector, organ that can cause a change in value. Frontal plane, two-dimensional vertical plane that divides the body or organ into anterior and posterior portions. Gross anatomy, study of the larger structures of the body, typically with the unaided eye, also referred to as macroscopic anatomy. Growth, process of increasing in its size. Homeostasis, steady state of body systems that living organisms maintain. Inferior, describes a position below or lower than another part of the body proper, near or toward the tail, also referred to as caudal. Lateral, describes the side or direction toward the side of the body. Magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, medical imaging technique in which a device generates a magnetic field to obtain detailed sectional images of the internal structures of the body. Medial, describes the middle or direction toward the middle of the body. Metabolism, sum of all the body's chemical reactions. Microscopic anatomy, study of very small structures of the body using magnification. Negative feedback, homeostatic mechanism that tends to stabilize an upset in the body's physiological condition by preventing an excessive response to a stimulus, typically as the stimulus is removed. Normal range, range of values around the set point that do not cause a reaction by the control center. Nutrient, chemical obtained from foods and beverages that is critical to human survival. Organ, functionally distinct structure composed of two or more types of tissues. Organ system, group of organs that work together to carry out a particular function.